A family living in Redhead had some strange experiences in their home, and they began to suspect that they had an unseen but very helpful visitor staying with them. From the time they had moved into the home, the doorbell had not worked, and our client had been expecting a delivery any day. She had been worried that she would not hear when the delivery arrived due to the fact that the doorbell was inoperable. She had gone to bed, having still not received the package, and in the middle of the night the doorbell suddenly began to ring. The family was startled awake, and it took them a few moments to figure out what was happening, as they had not heard the doorbell before. Not only was it now working, but it was stuck on and ringing continuously. They opened the door and tried to get it to stop, but to no avail. As they were preparing to call someone, the doorbell finally stopped. They tried it, and it worked again, but normally this time, and worked properly from then on out. One night, as our client was wondering what the weather was like outside, as they had been experiencing a cold snap, and she wanted to know the temperature, the television turned on its own, and it just so happened to be on the Weather Network. Another evening, the client's sister happened to be driving by the client's home, and she glanced in to see that her sister was at the dining room table with a man she had not seen before. She kept driving and decided she would give her sister a call when she got home. When she did, she asked her sister who she had been talking with at the dining room table, and our client was quite disturbed by this question, as she had been alone in her home all evening. Often our client would hear the front door open and close and heavy footsteps walk across the room. She would investigate, thinking it was her husband, only to find no one there. One night she had awoken to a loud noise from her dresser. She recognized it as the contents of her dresser being tossed on the floor, most likely from one of her cats. She fell back to sleep and awoke the next morning to see that the contents of her dresser were indeed on the floor, but had been standing upright, as if they were placed there instead of knocked over. With all these strange things happening and more, our client decided to call LCP in to investigate. We did get the name Jim. That was the very first thing that came up, so.
Yeah. Is this the first investigation you've used it with? Or?
No, we've used it a couple of times now. The first investigation, it didn't really give us anything at all. The second one, we got some relevant answers to questions and stuff, so.
And you said you just got a name?
Yeah, Jim. That was the very first thing that came up, and then a couple of other words. Who's the girl? Can you tell us what the girl's name is? Cat. Store? Where does your daughter work?
Superstore. At Rossi?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I get such allergies today.
Are you talking about the girl that works at the store? What's her name?
Are you asking me what
No, the
Oh, okay.
thing. I just thought it was odd that that's why I asked where she worked, because he said girl and then he said store.
it is? Right.
Listen to me saying he, it said. Sounded like 40. 40.
I just turned 40.
I was just going to say, didn't you say that earlier?
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
So definitely different words?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard 40, girl, or
Store?
store I've heard once before.
Yeah.
But it's odd that's why I asked you where she worked, because it's odd that.
Right.
And And where it's been in her room and stuff too,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I kind of thought maybe where she's at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you guys were upstairs, Avila said bar.
Bar?
Yeah.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm.
Pretty cool that it's actually sitting on bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quiet, but I keep forgetting to bring the speaker. I want to give the speaker a try again. So it's on the AM dial right now. We only have one AM station in St. John.
Okay.
But you'll hear other things going on there. It's because sometimes, especially at night, you can pick up from Fredericton, Moncton, that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
We're right by the water, probably gonna pick up Nova Scotia too.
yeah, so but for the most part, it's white noise. So we'll see if we can get something. Okay, water and that kind of stuff. So
We're right by the water, probably gonna pick up Nova Scotia too.
yeah, so. Okay, water.
You just said ocean.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty strange. And we just had deep right before that too, deep
Yeah.
water.
obviously listening. Yeah.
Did you hear that? You heard that,
What did it say?
Jim?
It's a gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
At Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm like, what do I ask?
What was last name?
Jim, can you tell us your last name?
Light went right across behind me.
See that? Did you see that?
That's upset.
Cat don't like no.
Yeah, is that the same?
He does never, they never growl like that.
Where's the cat looking?
Well, I got one on the table. Well, they're all three of them are right there.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. They're all looking towards. Well, 2 are looking towards Chris.
They never growl.
Weird. Oh,
I
that's
heard my cats do that.
You've never heard them do that before?
No, never.
Which one is it? The one with the gray?
The one on the table. That's the one that was all friendly with me in the bedroom.
He's not really looking at anything.
It's like he's being touched and not doesn't want it.
Hmm. Oh, there's a K2 meter beside him.
Oh yeah, put that there.
Is that you bothering the cat? It's odd too because it was right after Scott said it that he saw the light.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
behind him.
It was like this little tiny light just went like around here and stopped right over here, and I thought something came through. Oh, yay.
Oh my gosh. Hey, that's enough.
As you can see, the cats were acting very strange the night of the investigation, and the client was quite adamant that the growling and hissing had never been witnessed before. Was it the excitement of the group being there, with all the equipment invading their space and throwing them off? Or was there something unseen in the basement with us that disturbed them so? Regardless, it was startling and unsettling for both us and the client. You alright, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Scare you?
Did it jump you?
Change my underwear.
Who needs paranormal dogs? We got cats.
Yeah.
This is the good stuff, Chris. This is what you've been waiting for, buddy.
With some really compelling and relevant answers from the obelisk, and the strange behavior from the cats, LCP had an interesting evening in Redhead, New Brunswick.